once we get tomorrow with some shoulder pads on, we can actually run into each other. They won't have to run as far because the ball carrier hopefully won't get as far. But the emphasis is getting as many guys around the ball as we can, so that when that ball's knocked on the ground, we've got guys that recover it. I think you can get a lot of turnovers from effort. Things that we were good at San Diego State, because those guys played hard and they got to the football. And if it was ever tipped in the air or if it was on the ground, we recovered it. And that's been a major emphasis here. Like I said, from the day I took the job, we're going to coach effort harder than we coach anything. We're going to give them a chance by scheme. Those guys are going to play hard, and we're off to a good start at that.
Please hold up just 1 second. Just 1 second. Tell me, Brad. You good? All right, go ahead.
Coach, just your initial thoughts about Jalen Harvey on defense. Practice her just for a little bit a couple years ago. Obviously, you probably would know that.
The thing I'm excited about is he's not afraid. I mean, he likes being in the mix. He's down there. He's a physical kid. He's been a leader so far, trying to get those guys to come along and play hard. So I think so far it's been a good experiment. He's very much like everyone else. He's making some assignment mistakes that we need to fix, and that's across the board. But the effort's there, and I'm excited. I'm excited to see once we play some real football with some pads on how he does.
And what's your sort of initial assessment of where you're at from a talent standpoint in the secondary?
I think we've got plenty of talent. I mean, we've got some guys that can play man coverage. I think where we are going to figure out is what kind of depth we have. I think across the board, the first five, I think we've got five out there that can play football and that can play at a competitive winning level. We need to establish some guys behind them, and that'll come with reps. I mean, we're going back to the basics now. I mean, we started today the fundamentals of football. I mean, we put them in a stance. We had them out there in a chair sit for 10 minutes. I mean, they were looking at us like we're crazy. But the best way to be really good at football is the fundamentals. Do things right, and then they become a natural habit. And I think a lot of that and a lot of football along the way gets lost. You get in the Pop Warner era, you get a bunch of dads that play video games that are coaching scheme, and they don't teach these kids any technique. And I think it's a service to the game of football to try and do that. I mean, from the young kids, I mean, we have all this issues with CTE and stuff, and a lot of that is they're not taught properly from a very young age. And a lot of that is getting better. With the NFL's Play 60, they're getting a lot more instructional stuff to that. And so we start with that. I mean, Coach Edwards is a big firm believer in fundamentals. I have been my whole career, and we're starting from as basic as you can get it. Now, the good thing is when you have really good athletes, they pick it up quick, so you don't have to spend as much time. But we're going to do it every day just to keep it in their minds, and they're a better football player. If you do things right, you can get to the football faster. You can make plays, you can break on the ball faster. So it's good.
It's interesting you say that because you watch Edwards out there, and he'll pull Chase Lucas aside, he'll pull Jalen Harvey aside, and then give them like one-on-one some instruction there. So it's interesting to watch how he.
Awesome. I think I'm very fortunate to be working under Coach Edwards. The stuff that he's giving me, I mean, I tell our kids every day, everybody that's out there on the field, we've got some really good football coaches on the defensive side. We've got really good football coaches on the offensive side. The knowledge that they have and that they're sharing with everybody, be a sponge, soak up as much as you can. Because I've had that opportunity from Coach Edwards just in the last month, and I've learned a ton. And it's really. I mean, when they were at Tampa Bay, they had one of the best defenses ever to play the game of football. And he coached one of the best secondaries ever to play the game of football. So, I mean, those guys they're getting spoiled.
And you get
the hardest thing to coach right now for 2 practices.
Well, I think from the very beginning, I mean, the effort and what our expectation is, I don't think they were very aware coming into it. Now, after 2 days, they have an idea. And we counted up the loaves yesterday in the first practice, and we got 69. So we do what we call perfect tens, where they're going to be punished for every loaf they have, and it ain't easy what we ask them to do. And there will be a few that break along the way, and that's okay, because you find out how good your team is and how tough your team is, and the ones that don't want to be a part of it don't have to be. And I think that's establishing what our expectations are is probably the hardest thing, and then teaching them is we don't do a lot of teaching out there on the field. We do all of our teaching in the classroom so that we get them guys going fast. So the mistakes that they make out there on the field, we'll talk to them, we'll give them quick instruction out there on the field so that they don't do it again. But all those corrections are going to be made inside. So we'll see a big difference. I mean, we're making quite a few sound mistakes, which is normal when you're putting in a new scheme on the second day. By practice 15, we'll have a better idea of how good of teachers we are. And it's not the kids' fault. I mean, if they're not learning it, it's our fault. And that's coaching. That's what we were hired and what we're here to do.
What's a perfect 10?
Perfect 10 is the whole defense. We've got 43 of them out there right now. They all walk up to the line of scrimmage together. They go down together behind the line. I give them a snap count. When I pull the ball, they sprint for 10 yards, and all the coaches are eyeballing them. If they touch the line, it don't count. If they don't go down together, it don't count. If they don't sprint full speed, it don't count. And so that's 69 of them today. If they don't finish, when you have 69, it's probably going to take 100 of them to get it done. And what that does is it feels that, hey, all we have to do is run the ball. We don't have to do this silly nonsense. And I told them out there, there's a purpose for everything we do. We're not going to ever do anything and not have a reason behind it. And if you want to know, ask why. And the expectation is, don't loaf, run to the ball.
So what's a few number of loafs, let's say at San Diego State when you were doing things well?
On a good practice, with a veteran team that's been in the scheme for a couple of years, you'll go through a game with 2 or 3, and that's guys being frustrated not running the ball. I mean, you're going to have 11 guys that turn. It doesn't matter if it's a D lineman, the quarterback throws the ball 60 yards downfield, you're going to see him turn and sprint. He might only sprint 10 yards. He knows he's not going to make a play on that play, but it's a habit. So the next time when they throw a tunnel screen or a jet screen and that receiver's coming back and the quarterback's throwing the ball and that D lineman turns and he takes that same sprint, he hits the receiver right in the head and causes a fumble. And it's just it's a habit, and we don't have those habits right now. So that's the main focus to get him there.
Nick Ralston has moved over to what have you seen? I mean, he's a smaller guy, but have you seen some ability out of him?
I've seen that he's a natural football player.
Mm-hmm.
Really good with his hands. He's a physical kid. I mean, you saw him play running back. We played against him last year. We played him a running back, H-back. He's a physical kid. He'll throw it up in there, and he's just got a good sense of football knowledge. So I'm excited about him. I mean, after day one, we were talking about it. There's a chance he'll move up in the depth chart. I mean, and our depth chart right now is going to be musical chairs. I mean, it's going to be based off of how hard they play and how many assignment mistakes they make. And then we'll come along with making plays. And usually, the guys that play hard and don't make mistakes, they're in the right spot and they make the plays. So it'll be and all of them know that there's no position safe right now. It doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter what you've done in the past. It's all starting from fresh, and we'll see the ones that want to play the hardest learn what to do and make plays.